Hello, everyone. Homer Owens of East Kentucky Broadcasting, and once again, it's time for a report from the city of Pikeville. And who better to go to than the city manager, Donovan Blackburn?
Homer, appreciate you being here again.
Oh, it's good to be here. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about tourism. Let's go to that subject and see if we can put it to rest, at least for today, because there's so many other things that we need to talk about.
Well, I agree with that. There's a lot going on in the city, and the tourism is a one piece. It's a big piece, but it's one piece. Currently, Homer, where we're at is I have met last week with the county judge and a representative, Reed Potter, with the Tourism Commission, the County Tourism Commission. The City Commission met Monday night and had a discussion determining what path to travel. Those discussions are still going back and forth. As a matter of fact, today I have another meeting with the county judge. The Tourism Commission met last night. They had some discussion. So hopefully, my hope is within the next week to try to finally put this issue behind us so that we all get back to work and do what we're appointed to do or elected to do, and that is to continue to progress Pikeville and Pike County down a path that where there's great rewards. So I'm excited to get past this issue and get busy.
Let me ask you, before we leave it totally, 2.5 weeks ago, it was requested of the Pike County Fiscal Court that some determination be made through the court system as to the relative positions of each of the two tourism commissions, the joint and the Pikeville.
Yes.
Is that still on track to go to court?
Again, I certainly don't want to speak on behalf of the fiscal court, but in the conversations that I've had with the assistant county attorney and the fiscal court, obviously the fiscal court has or the county judge, excuse me, the fiscal court has taken action in what they're calling a friendly lawsuit, but is challenging whether or not the city can withdraw, whether the county can withdraw, and then what happens with the bed tax. There is still some legal debate, again, from the Kentucky League of Cities position. The action that the city has taken is well within the boundaries of the KRS. The assistant county attorney, in his presentation to the fiscal court, said certainly that he sees both sides of the story, and it's just a matter of trying to determine what the legal interpretation is, possibly through a judge. So that's the action that the fiscal court took. Now, with that said, what we're asking is before any action is filed, and I believe the county feels the same way, obviously not wanting to speak for the county, but the county judge and I have a very good relationship, and from the standpoint that we're trying to do the same thing, and that's to progress Pike County and the city of Pikeville in our region. So, in the sake of keeping that relationship as solid and continuing and working together, we're talking before any action is actually filed, and with the hopes that we can come to an agreement or I don't want to say a settlement, because it's not really an issue of settlement. It's a matter of legal interpretation. Certainly, excuse me just a second. The fiscal court and the county's intent is to ensure that county tourism is on track, along with the city, because the city, as has been said, is within the county. The city's in the county and the county's in the city. I mean, meaning that they're headquartered here. It's the county seat. So we have to continue to work together for the best interest of the area. So the hope is that through these meetings that I've had with the Tourism Commission and through the meetings that I'm having with the county judge, then the judge in hopes would go back to the fiscal court and say that I think that through working together that we have found a solution. Because I think what a travesty is clearly, and this is obviously my opinion, and I'll say it's the opinion of the City Commission, the opinion of the Kentucky League of Cities, that not only is the city within the right to do what we're doing and in the right to ask what we're asking for. And what I mean by that is to ensure there's a funding package together for the sustainability of the quality of life through the Expo Center. But with all that said, if it ends up in a legal battle, then everybody loses. The city loses, the county loses, tourism loses, because there'll be taxpayers' dollars spent for the next 2 years in a lawsuit that could have went towards the support of the Expo Center, or that could have went to the support of tourism.
Would it be correct for me to say that this has been a period of letting the emotions drain out of the subject?
Well, I think it's a period of two things, or three. It's sitting back and letting the emotions drain, as you say, It's looking at fact and education, because part of the problem is anytime you get into an issue like this, is you have to look at what the statute says, you have to look at what other precedents has been set, you have to look at what the intent is. So I think everybody has to be educated. The one thing that I asked the fiscal court to consider or to look at is certainly the same as the city, that we rely upon the city attorney as the county relies upon the county attorney. You've got assistant county attorney that says, I see both sides of the issue, and that we need to try to work something out. You've got magistrate, who I respect and appreciate, Jeff Anderson, that said he was willing to sit down with us and see if there's a happy medium to work this thing out so it doesn't have to head to litigation. But certainly, in looking at not just taking the emotions out of it, but educating what the fiscal court to what the law says and what all the other circumstances is. Because what you have in a lot of times, and the city has the same thing, you have a tourism commission that goes before the fiscal court, they plead their case, and the fiscal court has to make a decision instantaneously. And that's what they did in this case, is they made a decision based upon what was presented to them at that time. My hopes is now that with what we've been able to present to them also, and then also with our working relationship as two elected bodies, that that the facts will prevail, and that each party will understand that the intent here is not to hurt tourism. We've said time and time again, it's to help tourism. It's to preserve the expo center and to bring more people into our community, which will in turn create not only a better quality of life, but will preserve what tourism's mission and goal is.
Okay, the date that we're taping is July 13th. You say that on this date, this evening, you will be talking to Wayne Rutherford, and there may be other developments.
I'm certainly hoping so. Again, I have made an unofficial proposal to the tourism, one of the members of the Tourism Commission, which is Reed Potter. I plan on presenting that same proposal to the judge today, and then I will submit the proposal to the Tourism Commission.
Are you hopeful of a resolution?
I'm extremely hopeful, because the approach that I took, and I say I represent the City Commission, and again I keep saying that, as the city manager, my job is to do what I feel like is right, to present to the City Commission for them to decide if they want to take what my recommendations are. But the elected body is the main vote. Whatever they say is what goes. So they have signed off on the offer. I'm hopeful that what the intent with what I proposed was, it goes back to what the Tourism Commission has either said that they would do, or but still allows us to arrive at what we need, which is funding, financial stability. Because Homer, again, I know I keep drilling this point in, but you have to understand this is a regional facility, and what we're trying to do is to create a regional tax base, something that isn't paid by just the county, not paid by just the city. It's paid by regional dollars, which is tourism. People that stay in the hotels aren't from just the city, not from the county, they're from the region. People that eat at the restaurants are from the region. So we agree with that, but you have to understand, and I think I said this on the last program, if not, I'll say it again, but you have the Expo Center that still has $330,000 in debt right now, today. They had a little over $600,000 when the city finalized the deal. We were only able to pay off $300,000 of that. There's still $330,000 worth of debt. This year's budget that just started July 1 has a projected debt of $685,000. So you've got $1 million debt this year that has to be met. The projections from the restaurant tax is, by the tourism's calculations, is $700,000. I think it's a little lower than that, but I do recognize that we have additional restaurants coming on board. My question is where is the other money coming from? Well, $200,000 of that is coming from the coal severance that's in the fiscal court's budget right now. So if, let's say, that we do reach $700,000 in restaurant tax, then the fiscal court layers on to $200,000. We're at least $100,000 short, and that doesn't interject anything that could go wrong around throughout the year.
You're reluctant also to expose the citizens of Pikeville to any kind of shortfall.
Well, if in doing that, the City Commission would definitely be negligent of their fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of Pikeville. It would be neglectful for them to take on a regional facility with no funding mechanism in place, causing them to have to dip into the general fund to deplete services to pay for a regional facility. They and I don't want this lost, is that we've worked with the county judge on this issue. When this thing came up 8 months ago, and the judge is definitely in favor of saving the Expo Center. That was his tone for the meeting last week, was that he spent 20 minutes explaining the importance of the Expo Center and appreciated the city for taking the steps that we have at this point and looking for a solution to work together. But you have to understand that the Expo Center and what it represents isn't just, I think I said this at the our last taping, but we've got 110 events scheduled. There's 9 concerts scheduled right now between now and December in the Expo Center. You've got arena football. You've got the college basketball. These are things that are already there. That's quality of life. But let's go beyond the quality of life issue. We just came through, matter of fact, a year ago from this Friday, the county and the city suffered a major event. We had July flooding last year that wiped out a lot of different areas. The Expo Center was utilized at that time as a station for the county to bring in water and to bring in supplies. Staging area. It was also offered at various times throughout the year, because we had other things such as ice storms and power outages in winter. It was also utilized as a place for people to go as a shelter. So this entity isn't just about the economic prosperity of the $10 million plus that it has on direct economic impact. It also has a tremendous impact in preserving not only the quality of life, but the safety and other mechanisms that it does to protect the people. Now, one of the things that I'm probably getting ahead of what maybe your questions are, but one of the things the City Commission announced this past Monday is we were just awarded a $200,000 grant from FEMA. We are placing emergency community sirens throughout the whole city of Pikeville. So in case of a tornado or a flood, we can blast the sirens off, because all the events that our community has suffered over this past year was an eye-opener. It was an eye-opener to the nation, to FEMA, to a lot of the things that they've injected. It's been an eye-opener to the county as well.
This is not a reimbursement from FEMA. This is original spending.
This is new spending. This is mitigation dollars that was available that we applied for. We worked with the mitigation, the folks that take care of the mitigation funds, and spoke with Congressman Rogers' office, and this is just another step into protecting our community, because not only from the standpoint of what we've encountered with we had ice storms, we had flooding, we had significant rain events, we had we just had a rain event a couple of weeks ago. We got 3 inches in a matter of just half an hour.
Within less than a half mile from this location,
absolutely.
By the way.
And that was a 200-year event, which is uncalled for. So these weather patterns coming through our area are unique, and we applied for the grant for the last 5 years, and we received the letter actually Monday that we were awarded the grants. We were moving forward. The other thing that we've done is the building that we're doing our taping in right now, which is City Hall. We were just awarded a $40,000 grant to put a generator in this facility, so that if we have a disaster, that we have a headquarter to go to where we can dispatch our police, our fire, all the things that we're required to do. But the other part of that is lodging. And I'm working, I have already touched base with Congressman Rogers' office and some other folks on looking at getting a generator for the Expo Center as well. So that if there is a declaration or an emergency, we would have that facility that could be up and running. But beyond that, if something happens again, Harless Creek, Raccoon, some of the areas that were devastated, meet up before that, the county has an area for a distribution point that's in the middle of the county. So we offered that up to the judge because we knew that was important to them. Another issue is the plaza that's on Main Street now with the Expo Center. There's been some work that's been done down there. You'll see.
We want to hear a further explanation of how that's working out.
Well, we're excited about it. I'll talk about what's going on with it, but the original intent, and what the original intent was to create an area of gathering. Originally we had looked at putting this on Caroline, closing off a street, Caroline, and doing what some of those other cities are doing. But we don't want to do that because it was going to cause a problem with people getting to those businesses. But what we've done now is by moving it into a large area, we took out the flower bed, we put a stage in there. But now that also gives a venue for the county, which we've offered up as well, that if they have press conferences or things they want to do outdoors they just had an announcement yesterday. But it's an area where you don't have to go into the Expo Center and spend, because it costs about $1,500 every time that you fire up the heating or air conditioning system on that big arena floor. You're able to go outside, be in the beautiful environment that we have in the plaza. And it doesn't cost a dime. You don't have, Mother Nature either heats it or cools it. You've got umbrellas, you've got tables and chairs. So it gives a venue of allowing the community to have, or the county to have a venue for other announcements. But
I've got one final question. If we can get away from this
I
subject,
think
it's
we've
like
hit it
a
well
magnet, really.
it is. Well, there's a lot of discussion on it, Homer, in the community. A lot of
Yeah.
folks I've talked to, so I know it's an important issue.
All right, you classified this as a quasi-legal action by the fiscal court, possibly calling in a court determination of relative positions of the two tourism groups. Would you accept any kind of compromise from them? And if I read you from the last time we taped, they had not made any suggestions about how they would like to see it go.
Well, at our last taping, the answer to that was yes. However, they have submitted a letter to the city. And what the compromise basically is, and this was directly from the Tourism Commission, is everything they put in the letter, and it was a very well drafted letter. And again, I've said this every time we've talked, is these are my friends. These are good people that have good intentions. There's no doubt about that. We have good intentions also. I have a list in front of me right now, and it wasn't for this purpose. It was more for educational purposes that I brought it, because I didn't know if we were going to be talking about this. As the viewers may not be aware, I do not script this. You come and ask the questions, and I answer. So
This is quite true, and it's a little bit frightening when we sit down.
Well, it scares me more than it does you.
Okay.
I'm sure, Homer. But I say in jest, you do a wonderful job. But I came prepared to talk about a lot of the things that are going on in the community, to help educate the community. But and talk. What was your? I apologize. What was the question?
Quasi-legal determination. Is mediation the next step?
Well, the Tourism Commission did submit a letter, as I said, and it was very well drafted and very well written. And everything that was in the letter I agree with, in the sense of why tourism is important to Pikeville and Pike County. The end result is their position is if the city would back away from challenging the bed tax, they do not want to challenge the restaurant tax. The problem with that is I go back to the argument that we have $1 million debt right now that we have to cover. There's no other funding option to go after that's a regional, unless the county or the city or the state wants to write another check, of which we don't have the funding to do. The county, just went through their budget process that they passed. They had to make some concessions. The city's in the same position. Last year, we had to dip into our backup fund account. So this is the smartest avenue. It's the avenue in order to preserve what their own feasibility study says it needs to preserve. So with all that said, my hope is through education. I have presented some documents. The judge, as he always does, he is very thorough, and Wayne went through and pulled, when we met last week, he had a folder very thick of a lot of documents and past, so he educated himself to what the past issues were. No disrespect, but his position was, he said, Donovan, we had the budget. The budget was the most important part for the county, though he multitasks every day. But he didn't have the time to devote to doing his full research, which he has now done. So my hope is that I also have done some additional research, and he had some questions for me at the last meeting that we had that I'm going back to him today to hopefully, again, through what I said earlier, through the education process, so that the judge and the county can learn, and then hopefully the judge will take that information back to the fiscal court and say, now, if you look at KRS, 91A 360, this is what it says. So I certainly understand where the city's coming from. My hope is that under 91A 400, it says that if a tourism commission is enacted in the county or at the city, that the restaurant tax goes to the tourism commission that's generated in the city. So I think, again, once you read through the KRSs and pull them together in its totality, then you can make a reasonable decision on your own at what's legal and what's not. And that's where I think, again, Mr. Case is a great guy. He's a good friend of mine. We just did a facade program down on Main Street, and we worked with Mr. Case, which he doesn't own the building, but he resides there. But Mr. Case said that he sees both sides of it, because when you read the statute, you can argue two different points, but what you can argue is that the city has the right to enact the tourism, and the restaurant tax goes to the city's tourism. What the question is well, what about the bed tax? And that's a matter of how one would want to interpret it. The city, we think, is very clear. The Kentucky League of Cities thinks it's very clear that it says that since the city commission enacted the ordinance to implement the restaurant, or bed tax rather, that the city then gets to apply that bed tax to up to 3% to their tourism commission. So that's the position we take. We certainly don't want it to go to court, Homer, but if it does, it does. I mean, the city commission feels like it's such an important issue that they're not willing to back down on not preserving the expo center. But
they have not closed their minds to compromise.
Well, I think after today's meeting, based on what orders I was given on Monday, will determine which path that the commission goes.
By the time we tape the next program,
we will have probably a direction. Hopefully we have a compromise, but we will have a direction, because certainly the city's, and I don't mind to say this, that the city has based on the letter that I just said from our last taping that we received from the Tourism Commission, the city commission's position is that there's no, that's not an option. The option isn't that we have to have funding. And we've debated this thing, and we've whipped this horse to death here on why. But the purpose or the reason, the rationality in saying, well, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to let the Expo Center struggle and continue to have a deficit. And I've mentioned on the last shows, I've just mentioned we've got 9 concerts scheduled through this year.
Let's talk about what the city of Pikeville is doing activity-wise. This is not the only issue you guys have, by the way.
No.
There are things going on around you and in our city.
Well, one of the questions, and the reason I bring this up is I'm stopped now frequently on the street, or I've received several calls, Homer, from people asking when this event is and what this event's going on. Things are moving at such a great rate, and I'm excited about it. That it's hard to continue to educate the public on what's going on. The Expo Center, it's a good segue, I guess, into what's going on with the Expo Center. But I guess this is why all this other stuff before is such a major topic, is because what is going on in the city. And I apologize, I'm going to have to refer to my notes because we have so much going on that it's hard to recall. But as I said, the Expo Center right now has over 110 events. We've got, between now and the end of the year, the city park, by the way, we had over 400 events scheduled in the city park this year. We've got about 200 that goes between now and then, and that could be
one's coming up on Saturday.
Absolutely. We've got the Hillbilly Christmas in July event that goes on this Saturday. We've got the event down at the Harley Shop going on Saturday day. My wife, for the last 4 years, has sponsored the Kids Day in the Parks. We have that going on, which she's the boss of me that day. So I'm out there. Actually, we've got I think Andrew Joyce is coming down to do it.
She's the general's general.
She is the general's general, and I know which way to march with her. I can assure you. But the kids are near and dear to her heart. She's I'm very blessed to be married to a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful lady that I love dearly. But this is an event that's near and dear to her. Not only the children, but also the Shriners children, and we've how it impacts the region. Within our region, there's over 1,100 children currently being treated at the Shriners Hospital. We do. I worked with Jimmy Kenny and Randy Jones, of course, before his passing, on creating the bylaws and setting up the Hillbilly Christmas in July organization, which we participate in. But the Kids Day in the Park is going on. Plus, on Sunday, we also have the ride
to
Lexington to the Shriners Hospital. That is, unfortunately, last year was the first year that I missed the ride because of the flooding. We had the flooding come up, so I had to stay home to do that. But it's a wonderful event. It's completely free. We don't charge anything to any of the kids. We have some new attractions this year in the city park, from a magician to snow cone to a balloon maker, and we're doing
inflatables for the kids to ride.
Inflatables, free hot dogs. We've got a lot of great corporate sponsorship. We got over $1,500 worth of prizes we're giving away. They're all free to the kids. They register. Everything from game systems to bikes, and I could go on and on. But it's a great event. It's a lot of fun to watch. These kids get out. Last year we had torrential downpour, but the kids still played out in the rain, and we kept the things open and we kept going. So
adventure tourism. Talk to us a little about that.
Well, let's where do we start?
You got kayak rentals, canoe rentals, floats down the river, fishing, and
we
a number of other things.
Well, let me methodically, I guess, go through
the
list, because a lot of this is venture tourism. I just mentioned everything in the Expo Center, not to mention the arena football and we get the regional basketball and the college, and obviously the men's and boys or girls basketball team is now actually residing in the Expo Center. They actually have built complexes in there, so they're there. We've got in August which has been announced, big and rich. In September there is a rock concert and a Southern gospel and a country concert all scheduled. In October we have a kids show, a country concert. And then we've got Main Street is doing the Vegas experience, and that'll be later announced, but that's something new.
Country star Billy Currington will be showing up at some point.
He's on the books, and part of the excitement, I guess, that I have, but yet I have to watch my mouth is that I'm not allowed to announce some of these things before the promoter allows us to do so.
You'll forgive me if I try to get it out of you.
So if you know some of them and you want to say it, that's up to you. But I can't. All I can say is November we got 3 country concerts possibly scheduled in December 1. Main Street I talked about. We've got the plaza completed. Today actually the Wi-Fi will be up and running. So if you've not seen the plaza down on Main Street, we've got the stage built, all the tables and chairs and umbrellas out. There's lights being strung. We've got Wi-Fi that will be active today. Starting this month, the first and third Friday of every month, there will be a free act, local acts that will be booking on stage. We're working with the artisan group and then the collaborative theater to book talent into the venue. Main Street is taking charge of that in conjunction with working with the local artisan group that has just started back up. We've got, obviously we're working with Keith Casebolt, my dear friend, with East Kentucky Broadcasting on featuring these acts that are coming through Nashville that are up and coming that come to the radio station.
Had one yesterday.
Well, we've got, my understanding, Jesse Keith Whitley, I think is the name of who we're working with. But what the intent is that working in conjunction with East Kentucky Broadcasting is to then bring that act, after they finish with the radio, over to the Expo Center for a dinner kind of evening event. So we're working on that. We've got, of course, Muscle on Main, which just had their event last weekend. It was a record-setting crowd. Our crowd was probably 3 times the amount of what it has been. We had over 220 vehicles, had the burnout. I mean, this thing's really catching on. You know, my hope is that we are able to mirror what they're doing in Somerset or in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, which they have close to 1,000 cars. We're actually traveling. Our tourism is traveling to the State Fair this year. We've got a booth that we're setting up, talking about all these tourism ventures, initiatives, along with we're going to have the Muscle on Main is, along with the Hillbilly Christmas in July organization, is raffling off a 2011 Mustang this year that we'll be giving away in October. It's a $10 chance to win the vehicle. So they're displaying that. They'll have it at State Fair as well.
You had a block party last weekend. You had a little bad luck about the weather, a little.
Well, unfortunately, we can't control Mother Nature, but it doesn't damper the spirits, and a lot of good things are coming out of the block parties. You know, we got Mr. Gaddy's. We got Texas Roadhouse is supposed to be opening it up in the middle of August. We're hoping to do a block party with them before the Muscle on Main program dies. But, you know, the intent isn't just to bring the event downtown, but our mission is to work with all of our local businesses to try to bring people to their venues. I mean, this is about community, and that's where what we see tourism doing is not only bringing people into our community, but also working with our business to make sure they prosper from it. One of the things that we did last year that we're starting back up, July the 26th, and then August 4th and then September the 15th, we'll have the free movie night in the city park. To where we show a movie. We've got a big screen, and it's totally free. We invite the kids in. Last year we had an average of probably about 150 kids per event that came in and put blankets on the lawn. Great event. We turn off the lights. The police department's there for security. We turn up the speaker system, and it's just a good, wholesome family event. We just came off the 4th of July. Again, the weather didn't cooperate with us, but we had a great event still yet. Before the rain didn't set in until, or not the rain, but the fog, until the fireworks went off. But the actual event, it stayed kind of clear. This week, we've got Kimi up at doing the mine safety competition. If you haven't seen this, Homer, it's a great event to come out and watch. But there's over 54 groups. Mike Ellswick, which is a member of my church.
This will take place at Bob Amos?
Bob Amos Park. Mm-hmm. When this thing first started out years ago, when we were working with them then, we had half of a field up there taken up. Now there's 4 fields up there taken up, and they've got people coming from all over the nation that comes in to compete. But again, if you haven't, it's the 10th through the 15th, ends this Friday. But if you haven't come up, I like to go up there at least one day and just sit up there in the bleachers and watch it. It's amazing to see what these guys have to go through.
Precision, teamwork.
It is precision, but it's a competition they've made out of it. But with the mining industry and the importance and these men and women that really put their life on the line to support coal, to support energy dependency in the United States, to see what they do, to formulate these teams, to go in if there's one of their brothers or sisters in danger is an amazing feat within itself. But to see it into a competitive situation is it's fun to watch. So again, that's going on right now up at Bob Amish. You'll see trailers parked up there galore. You'll see a big crowd up there, but it's going on right now. We've got a new event that we just announced, which a lot of people are really excited about. On the 17th is Game Day Ready Day, and that will be held at Bob Amos also. This is a free event to 8th graders or younger. It's basically a football demonstration camp kind of deal being put on by the University of Kentucky. Joker Phillips is supposed to be here. There's supposed to be some of the football players are going to be here, but again, that's going on the 17th. July the 30th, we have July Jam that's going on.
That's a Christian concert.
It's a Christian concert in the city park. I worked with Debbie Bailey for many years. She does a wonderful job in her organization. But the July Jam's a wonderful event in the city park. Again, a free event, Christian related. Folks come out, have a major crowd down there. They do a wonderful job with that event. Something we've announced. The equipment was ordered today, as a matter of fact. But the biggest part of it's already been installed. We've got the paintball competitive arena that will be opening in the next couple of weeks.
Where is that located?
This will be beside of the YMCA. We're working with the Sherry Riddle up at the Y. Sean will be with the Cut Through Adventures. Sean Cochran is working. He'll be managing the program with the Y. But what is this? And it's not only a venue to allow the youth to come out and give them another activity, but it's also a major tourism event because now you're pulling people from all over the region that likes to play the different fields, because these fields are set up with different obstacles, but they create competition. So we're talking to some folks out of Louisville and Lexington that will actually draft competitions that will come to Eastern Kentucky, and vice versa. Our teams will go there. So it's not just about having a venue that you come in and host a tournament or have paintball activities, but it's also a competitive sport that brings in people from all over the state and other states to compete here in Eastern Kentucky.
You're talking about the fun part of Pikeville now.
Absolutely.
Let me change gears with you just for a second. If you have more, we'll come back to it.
Sure.
$200 million worth of construction, at least, in the city limits of Pikeville. There's a lot going on, and let me compliment the traffic flow, no congestion, no complaints that I've ever heard of about the construction at Pikeville College, PMC, and the Judicial Center.
Well, we are certainly blessed, Homer. I mean, our community, where other communities are struggling, our community is prospering. Where a lot of communities in Eastern Kentucky lost population in the census, the city of Pikeville grew by 10%. The reason for that growth is a lot of the things that we're talking about now. I won't say bothers me. Again, it goes back to what I talked about earlier, and that's education. I got through about half of what the things that are going on in the city right now. And
we're going to give you another shot at it.
Well, and my point isn't that to make sure that they're all covered, but the point is that has there ever been a time in Pikeville, in your history here, and certainly my history here, where you've had so many things going on at one time?
Never.
The city has worked well with our legislators. Ray Jones has been a major supporter, Leslie Combs, W. Keith. We have gone to Frankfurt and we have generated dollars. We've gone after grants. We worked with the ad district. We've got over $14 million in infrastructure that we put in, and that has allowed places like the Judicial Center growth, like the medical school growth, like the hospital. We've got, as I just said, the first national sit-down of the Applebee's steakhouse coming to Pikeville and opening, so I was able to recruit a Texas Roadhouse. One of the things that's going on down there's a sign that's going to be put up this week from a company called Reality Link, which I have a contract on, hopefully getting ready to develop about a 300,000 square foot retail space in and around where Texas Roadhouse is. And the reason I put that into perspective too, but if you've ever looked at a time to where not only the park system, tourism, this has been a perfect storm. You've got leadership like Paul Patton and their board up there that is driving the college. They've increased their student base up there unbelievably. We've created Pike TV, which we're on right now, that's created another venue up at the college. And they're rolling out a new curriculum because of that.
Pike TV tends to coalesce the individuals, the residents. It brings us together around common efforts with the city.
Well, it's amazing how many people that are stopping me on the street saying, "Hey, I hear you're doing this, and I found out about it through Pike TV." There's people now, and that's what the importance of Pike TV was, to create not only the transparency issue but educational issue. And that's why I say, when I read on my Facebook page, or when I hear people say there's nothing going on, then I say, go to Lexington, go to Louisville, go to all these other, especially the rural communities in throughout all of Kentucky, and tell me what other community is doing more than what our community is. And it's not the city of Pikeville just doing this. It's the artisan group standing up. It's the Pike County Tourism. It's the city tourism. It's the Pike TV board. I can go on and on and on about all the different agencies that are coming together and coming up with these wonderful ideals. But what it's doing is creating a synergy. And through that synergy, it's creating an economy. And when you look at what's happening with the Judicial Center and with the college and with the hospital, the new Hilton Gardens is they're breaking ground this August. So you got a new hotel, so you got 250 rooms that's going to be downtown. And then you combine it with all the city and the financial stability of the Expo Center, bringing in all these venues. There's some other announcements that I'm hoping to announce soon that I'm really, really excited about. I can't talk about it right now.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, what are they?
Well, there is some really good things that, I had some great meetings over the past 2 weeks about some other venues that we're hoping to announce soon. Not only retail, but other activities that are coming to the city, or that are looking at coming to the city. We're trying to work out a deal right now that just bear with me for a couple of weeks. I can't talk about it yet because of the sensitivity of the issue. But if you look at the perfect storm, and you got a past mayor, Walter May, that's done a phenomenal job over at the hospital. And again, he's got great leadership of his board over there. You got a $100 million expansion over there that's created a regional, national hospital of the year that we're real excited about, because what that's done, and I'll talk to that for just a second. The reason that we're able to do a lot of this stuff is because of the tax base that we have. The occupational tax is a local tax that's reinvested back into the community that allows us to do all these events, because we have cash flow to do some of these things. But what we're able to do is invest that into the community, and then we're able to pull other people outside of the community that come in to participate in these activities that fill our restaurants, fill our stores, fill our gas stations, et cetera, et cetera. But you've got the hospital that, when I came on board 7 years ago, that we generated about $850,000 to $900,000 in occupational tax. Because of the exponential growth over there, we generated this year almost $2 million in occupational tax from them. That $2 million, the fire department, which has 30 full-time firefighters over there, that not only, along with the full-time ambulance service, with a 4-minute response time, is important when somebody's having a heart attack, to have somebody there in 4 minutes, or somebody that's having problems, or when your house is on fire, to save your valuables within a 4-minute response time. But the fire department's budget this year is about $1.8 million. So the hospital alone is paying for just the fire department.
Are you familiar with any kind of comparative figures on other fire departments in cities in our class?
Well, in our classification, I can say, in a Class 4 classification, we are leaps and bounds. Our budget is higher, our equipment is higher. We're not only, one thing about this fire department and police department, by the way, is they're not just departments, but they're training centers. These guys are qualified. They are certified in so many different things, Homer, that people don't realize what value that they have. From swift water rescue, because now we have a kayaking service, we have an airboat. We have trench rescue, because all the construction going on when you have a trench, to be able to stabilize the banks and get somebody out there safely. These guys have umpteen training hours, umpteen certifications. They train every week, every day. They've got something going on, because they're required by the state not only to keep their training hours up, but they go above and beyond that. We've got a 24/7 department over there. They're on full time. We got a Class 4, our ISO rating is 4, which reduces your homeowner's insurance by about average of 20 to 30%. The police department's in the same boat, 4-minute response time average. We have our own dispatch department. We've got certifications galore. We've got police officers that are bilingual over there that speak several different languages. We've got our own, the only polygrapher in Eastern Kentucky that's on staff. We actually polygraph for the state police department. Instead of having to send people now to Frankfort or Lexington, we can do it. We actually do it here in the police department office. We have, I can't tell you the equipment that has been invested for this community to ensure the safety and security. I can't, is there crimes that go unsolved? They are everywhere. But I can tell you that the rate of what this department does to solve, I've got 2 detectives on staff, is just absolutely phenomenal. We've got to talk about the fire department. The fire department is certified. They actually shoot off the fireworks. They're certified to do so. There was new legislation put into place, but they've already got the certification. We didn't have to worry about the legislation, but they've actually shot other shows for other groups. So they're actually competing this year. I just signed a document, a requisition for them. They do a combat challenge, kind of like what we're talking about with the KIMI program. I've got 4 guys that will be going to the Lexington that will be competing on a statewide level, and if we win there, we'll look at competing on a national level. So there's a lot of pride in the community, a lot of services that, when people are driving the streets and they see the beauty of and how clean, we get a lot of compliments of how clean the city is. They sometimes forget about all the other services that are offered. UMG, we have a contract with UMG, Utility Management Group, that they manage not only the water, the sewer, the gas system, the trash, they manage the parks department. We spend over $1 million a year in our parks department. But you look at when Mayor Hamley was mayor, his vision is that he wanted educational dollars to go to education. So our school system is one of the few school systems in the state that the school system handles, the independent school system. Their money goes towards education. Now they have obviously money that they spend with their boosters and the sports programs, but we actually own and manage the fields. We own Hamley Complex, the football field, the baseball field, the softball field, the track, the tennis, now the Expo Center, and they pay a very modest fee. I think it's $20,000 a year. Our light bill alone on Hamley Complex is about $120,000 a year. So it's a modest fee for what we do in order to support education within the community. And it shows. I mean, Pikeville Independent School System is very highly ranked in the state, does a phenomenal job.
With the amount of activity, expectations, initiatives, you need more land. So let's talk about annexation a little.
Well, annexation is an important part when you have growth. The problem in eastern Kentucky is between 12 to 14% of our land is suitable for development. That's flat. Now, if you take the percentage of that land and put it close to infrastructure, unlike Lexington and Louisville or all these other areas that are flatlanders, if they want to put a water line, a sewer line in, they put a trench through fertile ground. They may have to remove some trees. We have to go through rock. We have to go up hills. We have to put lift stations in. It's very, very expensive for eastern Kentucky to build infrastructure. So when you're looking for land for suitable development, it's very important to have flat property that's not just flat out of the floodway, but you've got to get it close to where the infrastructure is so that you don't have to reinvest all these millions of dollars. To build just an average sewer plant now, you're looking at a minimum of $15 to $20 million. The people that pay for that are the people that are being serviced by these plants. So it's important when you look at land base for development to look at where you have police protection, where you have fire protection, where you have phone service, where you have Wi-Fi, where you have close sewer in close proximity, where you have water in close proximity. Thus, you've heard Marion's branch for the past 7 years.
What is the progress on that?
It is a slow process because of what I just mentioned. It's the cost, but we are moving forward. The board is meeting on a monthly basis. We meet the last Monday. We meet the last commission Monday of each month at 4 o'clock. Again, the county judge is a member of that board. We wanted county input. We have a county judge and a county citizen at large on the board, along with the mayor, the city manager, a city commissioner, and a city citizen. But we have met 3 times now. At the last meeting, Summit Engineering gave a presentation. We looked at a manufactured homes, came in and gave us a pitch on how the quality of not a double wide or a trailer, but an actual home that's manufactured off-site and brought to the site. So we're looking at a segment of those homes for the area.
At one point, access road was mentioned as one of the holdbacks for moving ahead. You put almost $5 million into sewer and water. Sewer is a $5 million project, so there will be sewer on the site by October this year. Water is within a mile away. It's about $1 million to bring the water, so that's insignificant to the first part of the development. The big part of the development is the road. In order to get the first house up there, you're talking about $10 million that have to be invested. Again, I go back to Congressman Rogers, who has been very, very supportive of this project. Again, Homer Wake Up was the July flooding when you had people that were in these areas that got their homes all wiped out.
and these areas have been repetitively flooded. Well, a lot of these homes are, when our area was settled, obviously people settled to where there was water. You didn't have infrastructure like you do in this day and age, but back in the settlement era, people settled in the valleys because they had to be close to the creeks and the streams and the rivers. Now people are looking at getting out of those areas because those areas are the areas that are flood prone. So having an area that's out of the floodway, and of course Marion's Branches was very important. July flooding brought that to the attention of the community leaders. It took us a little over 5 years to work a deal out with the airport board in order for the city to secure the property. The city now owns the property. Cam Mining has done a wonderful job up there with the Mountaintop Project, creating over 400 acres of flat developable property. However, it's still under the bond, under the permit, so we've got to get those released from Division of Surface Mining. In order to do that within the time frame, we've got to show a development plan. So we're working with CAM, we're working with the state to get that done.
Have you made a commitment to the current road and its location,
Nope.
or have you considered alternatives for ingress?
Yes, we have, and yes, we have. The city annexed a piece of territory at Sword Fork, and that was the original intent, was to look at Sword Fork. And if you're driving on the South Mail Trail and you go past where the post office down is, past Forge Branch, Sword Fork is right there where the post office is. What the problem is that's about somewhere between a $5 and $8 million investment. There is already a road at Marion's Branch that it's a switchback road. It's very compacted. It's there. We can put that road in for $1 million. There's been a recent alternative solution that I have that's come up that I'm talking with a property owner on, that will be presented to the commission at the next board, that I have currently Summit Engineering working on, that may be an alternative that would bring the road out on US 23. So there is.
I have to assume it would be a shorter route, or you wouldn't be considering
a much shorter route, a route that that at one time I thought was there, but I wasn't aware of. But actually, the property owner contacted me, and there's a benefit to the property owner, because if the city puts a road in and there's development there, they'll have the property first going into the development of a brand new subdivision, and the intent is to put a golf course there as well. So I mean, this could obviously increase the value of their property. But they would have to have the road to make that happen. We need a road. We've already got a road that we can invest in, but this may be another alternative. So we're looking at that alternative as well. So our primary objective right now is to look at the road. We've got some commitments from our national leaders. We're working with the ad district. We're working with Summit Engineering, our own grant folks, on the various granting agencies on trying to put a package together to get the $10 million that we need. So
let's get back to your list of entertainment. I don't want time to run out on us before you.
I'm sure we're getting close.
Mention that last half you said.
Well, we talked about all the things going on in and around the city, and the expo and the paintball. But one of the things that we had vision on a couple of years ago was this water trails program, as you mentioned earlier. I mean, Sean Cochran has been a heaven sent. I mean, we had the vision, we had the facilities, we just didn't have the expertise of which Sean did. Sean's very aggressive. He's done a great job.
Enthusiastic, zestful.
Very, very much so, and has a good marketing mind. Homer, over the past couple of weeks, he's had 4 different large groups on the river. He's had a group of 150, a group of 130, a group of 100, and a group of 60. This past weekend before last, he had different groups on the river that represented 12 different states that came to Pike County to be on our river. If you've been up to the RV park, we've not marketed the RV park at all yet. And there was a reason for that. We were trying to get the soccer complex and the Hillbilly Christmas in July, the handicap.
At one point, you had about 6 sites for RVs.
We've got 21 sites, and they're staying about half full right now, to where last year that we were averaging 1 or 2 a day. Now we've got them over half full, and on weekends, the majority of them are full. And that's what that
Hillbilly Days would be another source of customers for you there.
Well, and the benefit of the RV park, what we found is a lot of is repeat business from away from here, because we only charge. Again, our intent from the city isn't to make money. We're trying to create a commerce. We're to break even, because if we pull somebody in from an RV park, they're eating somewhere, they're shopping somewhere. So the RV park rental fee is only $25 a night. For that and I'm an RV enthusiast. I have a 28-foot pool that as a matter of fact, I'm going in a couple of weeks to the East Coast. So I love RVing. I love camping out. I just got back from Huntington last weekend. But our RV site has a concrete pad, and for those that like to RV, you understand this. It's a concrete pad. You have a picnic table and a grill at every site. You have water, sewer on site. You also have Wi-Fi and cable TV on site, which is a great amenity. You have a bathhouse. You have a concession stand. You will soon have with the special needs park, there will be a park that will be open for your kids to play on. There is a soccer complex there, but when I designed the soccer complex, I also asked the commission to allow me to put the path around it, which doubles as a bike trail. So we have a bike trail for the kids to ride to do a loop on. And so when you go, these are the things we're putting a fire pit in right now. So these are things when you go camping that you want to do. You want your kids to be able to bike. You want to have a playground to play on. You want them. We're doing the movie night in the park. Eventually, we'll be moving up there. So I just got back from like I said, this past weekend from Huntington, where I took my 4 nieces, and they had a pond to swim in. They biked while the whole time we was there, and then they had a movie night on Saturday night that they went and watched a movie for free. So again, it's just another quality of life issue, giving us another outlet and venue. But also the intent is to pull people off of US 23 to keep them here in Pike County, to spend their money here in Pike County.
What about your list? Anything else?
Let's see. We talked about, Cut Through Adventures isn't just rafting. It's, as you mentioned, it's rafting, it's canoeing, they have fishing expeditions, they have tubing on the river, they've got paddle boats, they've got camping excursion. They're currently putting packages together so that you can come, stay in a hotel, and choose from 1 or 2 or 3 different links. One of the things we're tying into that is we've got relationships that we have built now with Pub Links in the county and Raven Rock. We're working with the Jenny Wiley Theater. We're working with the Elkhorn City Collaborative Theater and putting packages together and so that it's not just promoting kayaking, it's promoting, you come here, you stay in your RV, you go see a theater. Up at Jenny Wiley, you go to Elkhorn City, the breaks for a day, you go play golf for a day. We want to keep them here.
Rent a paddle boat from Pikeville Pond. That's another asset we have in the city.
So a lot of these things that we're talking about is creating relationships. And we keep mentioning Pikeville College and Pikeville Independent School System, but understand that's a major economic engine, Homer. Not only the medical school and what the college has done with their growth, but this brings student base downtown, the people that live here. Having a national champion housed in the Expo Center creates more enthusiasm. So now you've got other colleges that want to play, that are standing in line wanting to play Pikeville College. And these people travel in and they bring fan base. So Pikeville College can be selective on the bigger crowds of who they bring into the area.
We're going to have to change gears. University of Pikeville.
I was told last week by a good friend of mine, Lucy Holman, that every time that I say Pikeville College, I got to put $1 in the cookie jar.
Oh, you're broke.
And I think I'm broke this week. Obviously, UPike has expanded, and which is a part of this overall thing. But how the reason I push that is because also with the $1 million new soccer complex that we just placed in. Sports are important for education. I mean, it creates, I played sports in high school, and it taught me sportsmanship. It teaches you a lot of things on the field that goes with you through the rest of your life. But the other part of this is it's a venue for the kids to excel in that allows them to generate scholarship opportunities to go to places like Pikeville College. So not only through the basketball program, but you look at the $1 million soccer complex up there. The size of the field now allows Pikeville College to host tournaments. The problem with all the soccer fields in the region is none of them are wide enough, or that you have to have a certain regulation size to be able to host tournament play up there. We now have a complex with a lighting system and a new bleacher system that we will be able to host tournaments. So now you've got other teams that they're booking in, not only that want to play in, but also that will increase tournament play. So again, that's pulling people from outside our region. We've got a great booster program with the Pikeville Independent Soccer program. They're wanting to do multiple tournaments. So now you've got tournament play, not only at the Expo Center, and this is a very, very important issue that I keep saying is that the reason that we keep saying quality of life with the Expo Center and places like what we've done with Bob Amos, this commission has been focused on, is because I remember when I played sports and when I played these big venues, when I got to go to these places that was an all, it stayed with me the rest of my life. To have a child be able to play the regional tournament and go on to a floor that's the same size as Rupp Arena, to be in front of a crowd of 5,000, will live with them for the rest of their life. The same thing goes with this soccer complex. The same thing goes with not only the quality of play on the Hamley Athletic Complex that we just invested $700,000 in a new turf program that's equivalent to the same turf program that they have down on several NFL programs, but New Orleans actually, we took the same field that they have. But you can play baseball and football in a grand stadium or grand complex. You can play soccer in a grand complex. But these promote tourism, believe it or not, Homer, because they bring people in from outside our community to stay in our hotels and do a lot of great things.
You're going to have to forgive me, but I'm going to pull the switch on us.
We got so much to talk about.
I know we have, and we always start off with the tourism.
And we ended today on tourism, didn't we?
Yeah, we took about a quarter of the hour to talk about that. Donovan, always a pleasure talking to you. Anything else you want to mention?
No, Homer, I look forward to these shows because I think it is, Pike TV is a very important asset for our community now.
And becoming more so every day.
It is. University of Pikeville, their participation in it is gold to us because, what their intent is to create another curriculum which brings additional student base. What the folks that can't see right now that as we're programming is the people that's running the production behind us isn't just the employees of Pike TV, but it's some students from UPike also that are participating. And these folks are committed to great quality programming. If you've looked at what has happened with Pike TV over the past couple of months, is they went from 0 to 120 in 3 seconds, basically. They took small components of what I had and got in all these components, put together this programming, put together good quality TV, and now we're able to not only showcase our community, but we're able to do programs like this program, and that's to educate the community because, again, East Kentucky Broadcasting, News Express, all these media outlets do a wonderful job with what limited time that they have to tell their story in. You and I can sit here for an hour and get really in depth.
And we've done it.
And we've done it. We will continue to do it.
Hope so.
So it's a major important. Not just I mentioned University of Pikeville, but UPike, but also the hospital. I mean, with having National Hospital here also, but as a partner, as part of Pike TV, all the issues, the health issues that face Eastern Kentucky. It's important for them to get their message out because they're doing programming now to help fight obesity and all the things that come along with that, and heart programs. I mean, you got a national hospital here, and they need to showcase and educate the population to all the things that are important to our community. And I could go on and on, but the county,
I know
and the
you
city,
could.
The county and the city is very important. And I'm going to hush from now because it's hard to do everything in an hour, but we're going to stop because in 2 weeks we're going to come back and do it again.
Yeah, we're going to do it again. 27th, I believe the date is.
I'm excited.
His enthusiasm is infectious, and we enjoy talking to you. You develop a lot of information that is important for us as citizens of the city to know.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to do it. I appreciate, once again, Homer, you do a wonderful job. I appreciate all the questions. You don't take it easy on me, but you get to the point.
I don't intend to, and I never will.
I would expect nothing less than. I appreciate it.
I'm Homer Owens with East Kentucky Broadcasting, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks, and I believe it's July 27th.
I look forward to it.